What's poppin'? It's Mello back at you with another drum style tutorial. And with this today, we're gonna be talking about trap soul, going over 3 different styles. If you got an R&B melody and you throw the trap drums over it, automatically it becomes trap soul. That's how it works. And with the drum pattern series, my goal is to show you if you make a good pattern and if you know how to make good patterns, you can take the same pattern and it has samples that fit the genre that you're going for. You can use it on a bunch of different melodic compositions. I do want you to know, as far as the samples used in this is from my kit, the Combustion 3. But outside of that, let's get into the video. Be sure to give me a thumbs up. I appreciate you. Let's go. So the first thing we're gonna talk about is the drum sample. When it comes to trap soul, what I've noticed, there is no consistency as far as the specific sounds used. As far as my research, there were too many diverse sounds for me to say that a specific sound gets used enough to recommend it. So my recommendation is use sounds that fit within the trap genre to sound good. So as far as what we'll be using today, that's the kit. So we're gonna be going over 3 styles today. First, let's touch on basic. The first thing, now this goes for all the styles. You can use trap snares, rims, trap claps, all of that. We're gonna be using a snare in all these examples because snares are used in most of the songs. It's mostly snares and rims. The tempo can be anywhere from 90 to 160. And when you get to the slower ranges like the 90s and stuff like that, there are different things that you can do if you choose. So let's get started. The tempo we're gonna go with, we'll do 136. Now we're gonna start with the basics. The snare is gonna be on the 3rd beat of every bar. Now this one right here, this is key. The hi-hat, fill each 2 steps, and that's it. You don't gotta do no chops. Most of the songs that I heard didn't have chops. Chops are very rare. So now this part is optional. Every even bar, you can do one of these. You don't wanna do both. In most cases, you just wanna do one. These are the 2 spots. If we do it over there, these are the 2 spots. So if we take one away right there and take one away right here, this is what you have. You could take those snares and you could put them on another instrument, maybe a percussion that fits trap. What I'm gonna do is put it on a different snare. One of the songs in my research does this. It's a Summer Walker F Love song. Very good song, but you'll hear this snare pattern in that. Now we're gonna get to the most important part in my opinion, which is the kick, because everything is pretty basic. And this is where a lot of the variation and bounce comes from on these records. So if you never watched my trap drum patterns tutorial, don't worry. We're gonna cover something that I covered in that tutorial, which is hotspot theory, something I made up, you know, but I didn't make up the patterns. The patterns are just popular. Look at these spots on the grid that I put the kick on. Those are the hottest spots when it comes to trap drum patterns. Let's listen to it very quickly. Before we continue, I'm gonna say that is a drum pattern you just need to remember by itself. Just memorize that drum pattern, memorize those spots. It will improve your game so much. But there is also one other pattern that you have to remember for this style, and it's this right here. Look at the darker green ones that I put. Remember those spots. And what you have to remember as far as this pattern is just 2 bars, because they both repeat the same exact patterns over the course of 2 bars. Now those 2 patterns by themselves, you could use those and be just fine. Let's say you want some variation. All you do with these are add and subtract. Now this is a rule I'm gonna give you, and this will help you with the drum patterns. You can break the rule, it is what it is. So anything 140 to 160, I would recommend using less kicks. You could just do something like that right there. And look, you could let the beat breathe. It's not a crime to let the beat breathe. It's not a crime to not hammer it with 50 kicks. This is another thing you could do. You could do double ups around the hot spots. Those double ups definitely give it some extra bounce. And don't be afraid to use kicks in different places that aren't the hot spots, but what I would recommend if you have trouble with this, go to the horseshoe and put it on 1/2 beat. That way you're not gonna put it in an awkward spot as far as any of the kicks. And the other tip that I have, anything closer to 130 or below, add more kicks. And if you look at it, this is a hot spot, this is a hot spot, this is a hot spot, this is a hot spot. Only thing that's not a hot spot is this right here in that first pattern. This is a hot spot, this is a hot spot, this is a hot spot. Only thing that's not hot spots is this right here, this right here, and this right here. And this right here, it works because it lands right on one of the beats. And the last tip I'm gonna show you, what you can do when you are working at a lower tempo, we'll set it to something like 100. You can feel every step on the hi-hat for one of the change ups. And you could even do chops, all types of stuff, but we're just gonna keep it at that. So listen to it at this slow tempo. Just so you can be aware, Bryson Tiller does this on Don't. And with that, you have the first style. So now for the second style, what I call the basic bounce. Same exact premise as the last style. Everything is the same, except when we get to the hi-hats. Let's listen to this pattern right now, but let's focus in on the hi-hats. You do a fill each 2 steps, and you get this basic hi-hat pattern here. What you want to do is subtract some of the notes. So let's listen to what I have right here. Now the pauses definitely give it some bounce, and you may wonder, how do you figure out what to take away? Well, this is the thing. You could take away anything, but this is the tip that I have for you, and this is where it will always work. Everything that lands on one of the beats in a bar is gonna be the even beat. These right here, these are off beats. Take away any of the off beats. And when you just take away a few of the off beats, then you'll have a good bounce. So if you look at that, something is hitting on every beat. Something is hitting on every beat, and it's that simple. You can have a good bounce. Now with that, you can throw some chops in there if you want. And this is another thing. I recommend putting the chops on the on beat. So and also, unlike the last style where I told you to use just one of these snares on the even bars, you can use both in this style on an even bar. Now, unlike the last style, if you would like, you can put kicks at the top of the even number bars, like this spot right here. Notice it's on the second pattern, and also this spot right here, which is at the top of the fourth pattern. So this is good bounce. And for the last style that I will be mentioning, and probably the most synonymous with trap soul, is gonna be what I like to call Tiller's Party. And the reason I call it Tiller's Party is because the style is popularized and maybe even created by Party Next Door and Bryson Tiller. Party Next Door first because he came out before him. You can also call this quarter time, but for my music theory people, that doesn't exist. That's not a real term. So the BPM for this runs anywhere from 140 to 190. We're gonna work at 160, somewhere in between all of that. We're going to start here with the snare. You will put the snare on the first beat of each even numbered bar. So that's the first step. The second step, with this one, you are going to fill every 4 steps, not every 2, every 4 on the hi-hat. This is the type of sound that you get. Now let's talk hi-hats. One thing you can do is put chops almost anywhere, but I'm gonna break it down real simple for you. I'm gonna make it easy for you. If you go to the horseshoe and go to 1/3 beat, you can put a triplet chop anywhere. And also on the same horseshoe, if you go to 1/2 beat, you can add some extra bounce, take away some stuff if you want. That right there, that little hi-hat stutter I did, that's on Bryson Tiller Exchange, just so you know. You could also throw something else in there like that. If you want to put faster chops in there and stuff like that, do that at your own discretion, not to my recommendation. We are now about to talk about the kick with these types of patterns, and it's very different than the other type of pattern that I showed you, and I'm going to tell you why right now. There are no hot spots. There's no grid I could show you where, oh, this is the good drum pattern and this is the one you use. I'm going to give you an outline of what to do. So the first thing I'm going to recommend, so that you don't put any kicks on any weird spaces, click 1/2 beat. That's the first thing. The second thing is that right there. Boom. For 4 bars, you could just do that and have a drum pattern. Seriously, it is the most minimalistic drum pattern that you could have, and it will still work. And you hear this quite a bit. If you listen to Reciprocate by Summer Walker or Bad News by Kalani, you will hear this. Just one kick, and not even a bunch of chops or nothing like that. Just a regular hi-hat line. Now this is a tip I'm going to give to you. If you decide to use kicks, and if you decide to be very minimalistic with any of these drum patterns, use a sub bass or some type of bass within the melody. Now let's just say you want more kicks, you want more of a pattern. I'm going to give you 2 tips in one right now. So the first thing is, you want to land on the beats. That's the first thing you want to do. You want to build around landing on the beats. So if you see right here, of course, there's 4 beats in every bar. I would say pick 2. So now the second thing is, on the even bars, on most of these, don't put any kicks. Just leave it empty. So let's say you do something like this. You could do a double up right there, and that's fine. Now let's say you don't want to start on the next 2 patterns at the top of the pattern. You could do something like this. You could build around that. You could do a double up here or a double up here. You could do a double up here or a double up here. Sounds pretty good. Now, let's say you want to add extra kicks on the other patterns. Same thing, just land on the beat. But again, I recommend being minimalistic with it. And with that, no percussion necessary, you pretty much have the style. I will be back with more tutorials soon. Be sure to share this with your other producer friends and all that, but I'll see you another day, somehow, some way. I'm out.